All right, parents. This is Mr. Cote again. We're following back up with our milestones prep. We are picking up. This is for the third grade math. During third grade math, we're going to get into it, but I wanted to follow up with you about the dates. Math part one will be April the 28th. Math part two will be April the 29th. So, for our third, fourth, and fifth grade classes, they will see math on April the 28th. That'll be part one. And April the 29th will be part two. Let's get right into what we were talking about. What I noticed last video, especially for our ELA, is we were starting to run a little bit out of time because I don't want these to be very long. What I want them to be is informative so that you have an idea of what your students need to work on. Okay? Now, the first thing we need to do for mathematics is we're going to go to this is our resource for students and parents. Remember, 2 and 3 just kind of give you basic Q&As, and you can click on these little hyperlinks. Anything that has an underline will take you to a hyperlink to look at a little bit more information. But the main resources that you will need, you will go to the resources for students and parents. This particular resource will be grade 3. And we're going to look at mathematics. We're going to take a look at the blueprint. Then we're going to look at the online study resource guide and also the achievement level descriptors. Okay. So the test blueprint, this is very important information. The first thing you need to realize is that your students, when it comes to mathematics, they're going to be tested in different domains. A domain is a particular area of mathematics. So we're going to look at our domains. Our domains are going to be highlighted in that dark black. So claims and targets. So the first one is going to be numerical reasoning. Up under that, they're going to look at this particular standard, which is 3.NR.1. Use place value for reasoning to represent, read, write, compare numerical values up to 10,000 and round whole numbers up to 1,000. Also, represent fractions with denominators of 2, 3, 4, 6, and 8 in multiple ways within a framework using visual models. And I'm going to try to give you some examples, also let you know some of the things that they're working on to prepare for these assessments. We're looking at approximately, there's going to be about 14 points that are going to be derived just from this numerical reasoning. The next part is going to be patterning and algebraic reasoning. So we can see that right here in this dark area. This is the next little domain that they will be tested on. Use part-whole strategies to represent and solve real-life problems involving addition and subtraction with whole numbers up to 10,000. What does it mean, real life? So this is where you're going to help them out, and you're going to need to work with them to integrate some of the things that they see at home, some of the things that they've probably done in their daily life. For those that have sports, those children that have sports, so for those children that are in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, you can integrate some of this information into their daily life. That will help connect some of these learning targets and standards, some of these content standards they will need. Use part-whole strategies to solve real-life mathematical problems involving multiplication and division with whole numbers within 100. Measurement and data reasoning is the next domain. Solve real-life mathematical problems involving length, liquid, volume, mass, and time, and analyze graphical displays of data to answer relevant questions. Identify the attributes, and then our last domain is geometric and spatial reasoning. Identify attributes of polygons, including parallelogram segments, parallel segments, perpendicular segments, right angles, and symmetry. And I said parallelogram. The parallelograms will be included in that in this domain as well. Identify areas of measurable attributes of rectangles and determine the area of a rectangle represented in real life in mathematical problems. And then lastly, determine the perimeter of a polygon presented in real life mathematical problems. So each one of these domains counts a certain number of points. There's a total number of 58 points that are available to you for the students. on this particular assessment just for these areas. So just like for ELA, let's talk a little bit about depth of knowledge. And depth of knowledge is based on a scale from 1 to 4. 1 being the easiest type of questions, 4 being the hardest. The good thing is with mathematics is already difficult enough, and we've changed over in the last 2 years, the state took adjustment to their standards. So we see that level 1 and level 2 is going to be where primarily the most of our mathematics will be. There will be some level 3s, okay, which is subsequently harder than a 2, but it can be, um, sometimes it's not as difficult as we make it and we place it on ourselves. So in mathematics, we're going to see mostly DOK 1, level 1, and DOK level 2. So it's mostly recall, which would be basic understanding of numbers and being able to work problem solving. And then levels number 2, DOK level number 2, which is going to be a lot of word problems, where they're reading a real life situation and applying what they understand to that real life from their mathematical knowledge they gained this year. To that real life problem. Do they have to add? Do they have to subtract? Do they have to multiply? Do they have to divide? Do they have to figure out or the measurement of a triangle? Are we building a garden box? And what is the length and the width of the garden box that we will need? So all of that will be applied in there. And then level 3 is like being able to really put those attributes into action. So they may be required to do a little bit of writing to explain in full detail, or be able to build a model using some digital tools that they'll have on the test. So let's look at the number of items. They will have a 1 point selective response in technology enhanced problems. There will be approximately 42% of those, or 42 points available just from 1 point. And then there'll be a couple that are worth 2 points. And a number of items anywhere from it's going to be 8. It tells you right here. Sometimes some of these tests will say it could be 8 to 10 points. This year, they're saying there's going to be 8 2-point problems on the assessment. And then the field test items, these are items they're not expected to know per se. These are going to be a little bit more difficult. They may be leveled up just to kind of see, one, they may be trying a new type of digital question or a new type of digital tool. And so the field test items, they can be selective response, but sometimes they're going to be in technology enhanced. So it could be worth 1 or 2 points, but they're going to tell you right here, there's going to be about 5 of those. Fortunately, those field test questions won't really count against them. As you notice, the number of points available for those field test questions, they're not going to be held against them if they get them wrong. So they're going to be getting a total of 58 points, and that's going to come directly from the 2-point technology enhanced questions and the 1-point selective response questions. Now, what we've also done, a lot of this year, especially with mathematics, deals with mathematical practices. And I'm not the person that likes to read everything verbatim on videos or when I'm explaining to parents, but this is very important for you to understand with mathematics this year. So I'm going to take a look at this paragraph. You can kind of see my cursor going to it right here. Mathematical practices describe how students should engage with mathematics content for their grade level. What does that mean? They're only going to be tested on third grade content and based on their third grade content. Developing these habits of the mind builds students' capacity to become mathematical thinkers. What does it mean by capacity? Well, is their ability. They're building their ability and using their mathematical prowess that they've worked on this year to really think about word problems in real life situations at their grade level and how they can apply what they've learned in mathematics to that problem. These practices are embedded within items aligned to the mathematics content standards, but are not reported as a separate reporting category. So let's take a look at these. Make sense of numbers and preserve in solving problems. These are all portions, and these are different standards. Expectation over on the right-hand side are the standards. Reason abstractly and quantitatively. construct viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others, model with mathematics, use appropriate tools, and strategically attend to precision. I am so sorry. The pollen has been getting me the last couple of weeks. Look for and make use of structure, and look for and express regularity in repeated reasoning. Now, we're going to take a look, and because I think it's very important for us to understand, we're going to go back to our parent resource guide. We're going to go back to 3rd grade. Now that we've looked at the blueprint, let's go to the online study. This is the new online study and the assessment guide that they have for you. It is amazing. And what do I mean by amazing? It is so awesome. It gives you a practice test. Okay. So I'm going to do this with you, and I want to walk you through this every step of the way. So we're going to go here. You're going to follow the link, and I'll make sure that the teachers send this out as well. You're going to hit test practice in online guides. All right. End of grade online tools, secure practice test online tools. Let's go back to what does it tell us on the instructions. We're going to go back to our instructions real quick because I want to make sure it's important that you have your instructions with you. Click on Online Tools Training for access to the end of grade. This is going to be end of grade. You're not going to be EOC. EOC is when they get to middle school or high school. EOG is what you're going to be clicking on. So right here on these directions. So let's go back here. Let's say we're not here, not the blue. You're going to click on the green. You're going to click on the online tools training. And then you're going to click right here. There's EOG test practice, EOG study guide for students and parents. We're going to click there. We're going to see mathematics. We're going to click 3rd grade study guide. And then it's going to kind of give you an experience. So let's kind of walk through this experience together. You're going to click the link here that says online study guide. And it's going to walk you through the tools that they're going to have. They're going to have a pointer tool. The pointer tool is already selected. They're going to use their arrows to hit the next button. They can flag a question. It means they don't understand it or not. Then they want to come back to it. And parents, that's one of those test-taking skills skills that you need to talk to your student about. They need to be able to understand, I've spent too much time on this question. I got to go to the next question. When you are ready to finish your test, select the little eyeball, review and end test button. And that is a little eyeball because you're going to review and you're going to make sure you hit the end test button. You're going to confirm and you're going to submit and review again. So here's some more tools. They got the pointer. They can cross off answers. They can highlight words and meanings. They can use a notepad. So, and I'll show you that a little bit further in. And I'll highlight the tools as we go through. A magnifier, you got a line guide, and then also masking. So the masking tool will block out the areas that if they're getting distracted, they can stop it. The coolest thing is they've added a couple of things. They added references tool, which I really love, and then they've also added the measurement tools. I want you to pay close attention to these testing tips. It's giving you and it's telling you specifically the things that you need to do. So you're going to want to go through these with your student. Sit with them. Take a few minutes to go through this training with them. They've already done this in class. It's okay for you to do that. So the purpose of this guide was designed as a tool for students and parents to understand more about the Georgia Milestones Assessment. So let's begin the test. And so I can kind of walk you through what they're going to look like. So the Unit 1, building a strong foundation. Use place value reasoning. And this will tell you the unit that the state has put this in. And then it'll also give you the standards. So 3rd grade, numbers and reasoning. Unit 1, use place value reasoning to represent Read, write, and compare numerical values up to 10,000 and round whole numbers up to 1,000. It also gives the students the key terms they need to be familiar with. Place value. This is something that